Hello, hello. Lacey Barrett Photography has started a live video. Hello and welcome everyone as you're joining, to those of you watching live and for those jumping in on the replay. Hello. Hi Micah. Hey guys. Oh, it's so good to see everyone hopping on. Okay. How exciting. Hey Christy. Hey Nat. I wanted to have a chat today about doula work and some of the things that I do with my clients and some of my beliefs about doula work and birth and how our brains make up 90% or more of how we give birth. So before I jump right in, I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me. If you can hear me okay, would you just pop a comment that says, yes, I can hear you? That would be great. Because I am using my great Rode Wireless Go for amazing audio. And I just want to make sure you can hear me. Yes, amazing. Thank you. I hope it sounds delicious in your ears. Okay, so I wanted to have a chat about some of my beliefs about birth, how I guide my clients through achieving breakthroughs during their pregnancy before they ever get to birth. Because one of my beliefs about birth, and this is a bit controversial, but I'm going to say it, and bear with me, I'll explain after I say it. But one of my beliefs about birth is that as a doula, I shouldn't have to advocate for you in your birth space. I shouldn't have to open up my mouth except to say, you're a badass motherfucking bitch. That's it. And the reason why I believe this is because the work that I personally do with all of my clients in the lead up to the big day of giving birth is that I don't want to be a savior. I don't want to be the person who steps in and speaks for you when you can't speak for yourself. You're pregnant, you're having a baby, you are okay. You know what I mean? And so I feel like that is disempowering, and I feel like it is taking the power away from the birthing person instead of giving them the tools that enables them to speak and advocate for themselves. So I've always believed that if I have to speak up during your birth, then I haven't done my fucking job right. Now, I say this is controversial because that is my belief, but that doesn't mean that that is your belief. And it doesn't mean that that is the only way or the only right way, because there are tons of different styles of doula. There are tons of different needs of birthing people and birthing women who are going to need a different approach to support for their birth space. So I understand that my beliefs are only going to resonate with certain people and attract a certain kind of person. So with that said, I believe that if I have to speak up or work in the birth space, and I haven't done my job right. And this is why I feel safe to stop attending births, because usually when I'm in a birth space as a doula, I'm not really doing anything except bearing witness to the incredible fucking human being that you are. And so as much as I love the adrenaline hit and the rush of jumping up out of bed at 3 a.m. and do I have time for a coffee? Do I not have time for a coffee? And making those first world problem decisions, right? As much as I love that, I also feel like I don't need to do that anymore. And that's because the work that I am doing with my clients is so deep and personal to them that they are so prepared to handle everything. Everything. And so what we do to start out is, first of all, disclaimer, I recently finished my certification in NLP with Haley Carr. And I find this so interesting because Haley always says, like, everyone's doing NLP, they just don't even know it. And it is so true, because before I started incorporating NLP into my doula work, I was very aware of what some of the three main goals were that I was trying to achieve with my clients, right? So one of the first things that we would try and achieve was, what do you want in your birth, right? Like, what do you even want? And then the second thing was, how to avoid trauma. And then the third thing that we would address was creating a postpartum plan, because I feel like postpartum is missed a lot in the birth space, because it's all about birth and baby, right? And then what I found that was happening when I was going through NLP is that is exactly what I had been doing all along. My results weren't measurable, right? Like, it was like a fluke. It was like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? Was it a coincidence? What happened there? And whenever I started incorporating NLP work into my doula work, it gave me the tools that I needed to be able to create replicable and not measurable, but replicable results, right? And so what I do with all of my clients, the very first thing one of the first conversations that we have is, I always ask them, what do you want in your birth? And then we do what's called a values elicitation. And I teach this inside of Doula Unschool. We elicit their top 5 values. And frequently what I find is that they have this idea and this vision in their heads of what they want, but it's not really what they want. It's more of like a societal construct of what they should want, right? And I saw this in specifically in one of my clients who she was a grand multip and 6th baby. And what I found is, when we started breaking down her values and what she valued in birth, she thought that whenever I asked her, what are your top 5 values in her birth? And she was like, oh, number 1 is calm. Like, this is my 6th baby. I need for shit to be calm. Like, this is top priority. And I was like, okay, cool. And for me, that was a red flag, because I was like, bitch, this is your 6th baby. Because I know, as I have 5 kids, so I know my idea of what calm is very different to what the idea of calm is to someone who has no children, or 1 child, or 2 children, right? And so I can currently hear my kids downstairs screaming, running amok, and throwing shit. And I think that's pretty fucking calm. So we went through what her perceived list of top 5 values were. And then we actually elicited and organized her actual top values. And what we found is that she was creating a birth experience for herself that was based on what she thought her top 5 values were, consciously. See, I can hear my kids screaming. And you might too, so apologies, but don't stress. Hubby is downstairs taking care of it, I hope. So she was creating this birth experience that was based off of what she consciously thought that her top 5 values were. And that was calm, right? And when we began eliciting her unconscious top 5 values, we were then able to bring that unconscious values to the forefront and be more conscious. And that was whenever everything really began to come into focus for her. That was when she really began to understand, like, oh, actually, my computer light just went off, so the lighting has changed. There we go. And that was whenever everything started to come into focus, and she was like, oh, actually, that's not that. I actually don't give a flying fuck about calm. And so what she had done is she had hired a midwife. She had like prepared all of this stuff, and mantras, and these are great for people who value calm. But this particular client realized unconsciously, well, I actually don't really give a shit about it being calm. I mean, my house is not calm, and what I think is calm is not calm to someone else, but it's calm to me. And so she had been watching Facebook videos, Instagram videos, calm birth videos, and I use calm birth in quotation because this is what we call complex equivalence, right? There's the same word, but it means something different to everyone else. And so she was creating a birth vision and experience for herself that was not in alignment with her values. And that is welcoming unwelcome trauma. It's almost like, how do I describe it? It's unexpected trauma. You are creating something in your head that you think is what you want, and then after it's all said and done, it's like, oh, that, and I'm speaking from experience because I had an incredible birth with our 5th baby, but after I was like, oh, that was so amazing, and my team was incredible, and everything was perfect, and we burned the cord, and all my kids were there, and I was so connected with Matt. But there was still something that I went, why do I still feel so fucking empty? Why do I still feel so sad? And it was because I look back now in hindsight and I go, oh, I think I should have just free birthed again. And this is why we need to be creating our birth experiences based on our unconscious top 5 values. And we have a very specific process that we use in NLP. And what's so good about this is you can use this for anything. So like, you don't have to want to become a doula in order to want to take Doula Unschool, right? Like, you don't have to already be a doula in order to take Doula Unschool. You can be a parent, or just be interested, or actually have no interest in birth at all, but you want to learn how to use the processes for yourself in a different context than birth. So it is so diverse, and I love it so much. 6 Wildings. Christy said she sounds so much like me. Calm? What's calm? I just want my kids around me. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And, when we actually did that values elicitation, it was like, oh, I need to change everything. And she did. And she ended up free birthing in her country farmhouse. And it was so incredible, and the most spectacular thing I have been able to bear witness to. And I think that's the turning point for people, is when they realize that they are creating a reality based off of a false sense of reality. And this is where we end up getting trauma, right? And this was the second thing that I was doing in my consults before I started doing NLP, was like, how do we avoid trauma? And so the way I was approaching that, the way I used to approach that, was like, what are your biggest fears about your birth? Like, let's reframe that from being, oh my God, I don't want to talk about it. We can't talk about NICU. We can't talk about C-sections. We can't talk about loss, because if I speak it, then I'm going to manifest it. And it's like, well, are you though? Or is this just a release from your body, from your energy, from your neurology, and now it's out of your system. And that's it. It's done. And, you know, it's so interesting how people are like, I don't want to manifest it. But whenever it comes time to like manifest something else, they're like, oh, no. All that shit's woo. That's woo-woo. And it's not. It's quantum science. Quantum science for quantum leaps is what it is. And so that's what I do with all of my clients, right? Is we go through their values, what they think is their values, and then we actually elicit their values. And only then can we move forward and begin to create a birth experience that is uniquely and perfectly for them, because now they have a very clear idea of what it is that they're moving towards. And now is when they can begin to start to visualize exactly what they want and not what they saw on Instagram Live, you know, or BirthTube or whatever. And, you know, as a birth photographer, a former birth photographer, hello, I really started to realize, and this is why I don't share a lot of birth images anymore. I have so many birth images that I could share, but I really felt a strong conviction that by me sharing birth images, I was aware that I was contributing to, I was part of the problem, right? I was part of the problem of people coming to my images, looking at it and going, oh, that's so beautiful. I want that. And it was like, yeah, do you? If you want that, I want you to have that. But do you want that because that's what you see everywhere? And whenever you see women in birth pools and birthing people in birth pools, birthing their baby, and you hear affirmations in the background, and their partner is in the birth pool with them, and their children are lovingly stroking their forehead, like, this is a beautiful sight. But when you see it constantly over and over and over and over again, then you begin to associate that with beautiful. And so now, in order to have a beautiful birth, it has to look like that. And this is where I became aware that I was actually contributing to the problem of creating false sense of realities in people's birth space, because I was sharing, I think, stunning images of parents connecting during labor and beautiful oxytocin-filled birth faces and, you know, documentarian style birth scenes and storyboards. Like, I was sharing all of these things, and just as much as it is empowering, it is also detrimental, I think. And so I really had to have a long and self-reflective chat with myself about, okay, what is the intention? Like, why the fuck am I posting images? Am I posting images because I'm really called to share this image? Or am I posting images because that's what birth photographers do, is they share birth photos? And so I can see where, from starting almost 10 years ago, where the evolution has occurred and led me exactly here to this moment. And so while videos and imagery and stories and podcasts can really serve clients, because I do believe that if we are facing a problem, you know, like, let's say a client has gestational diabetes and she is looking for positive birth stories of people who have birthed physiologically that have been diagnosed with gestational diabetes, then yeah, that's very specific. That is closing the loop in your mind, in your brain, in your unconscious. It is creating a new neural pathway that is different from what you have been told by your medical practitioners, right? Because typically medical professionals are like, oh, gestational diabetes, oh, we need to induce you at 38 weeks, because that's just how it goes, right? And so this is where finding stories actually becomes useful, and being really specific with what you're watching actually becomes useful, because you are naturally searching out the opposite to prove yourself wrong, right? To prove yourself right, not wrong, to prove other people wrong, but to prove yourself right, because your belief is different from what the other person's is. If it wasn't, you wouldn't have been searching for that in the first place. So a lot of looking at, visual paraphernalia, visual things, images, listening, auditory, kinesthetic, like all of these ways that we consume content about birth are unconsciously shaping our beliefs about birth, and how we view birth, and how we experience birth, and how we pass that on to our future generations, and what they believe about birth and how they experience birth. And this is part of the intergenerational trauma that we carry from our mothers, our grandmothers, and our great-grandmothers. And so I love doing this work, because this is not just in the moment birth work, right? This is not just let's help you have an incredible birth experience. This work is actually shaping how families will experience birth with them from that point forward, right? And so after I attended a birth where it was a home birth, Mom had all of her children present, and her son was there. Sorry, her stepson was there. And all I could think was, oh, fuck. Do you have any idea what you just did for that teenage boy? Like, the way he views women now, and the way he connects with women now. I mean, by the end of it, he was like a puddle. It was so beautiful. He was so overcome with emotion and so excited, and caring for this mom and bringing her water and fixing her food. And it was like, do you know what this is going to do for your future generations? And so this is such powerful work, because it isn't just affecting the birth experience. It's affecting the rest of people's lives and the rest of their future generations. So powerful, powerful stuff. Now, I'm going to be teaching about all of this in January. And it's a course that I offer. We're doing a live round, and it's called Doula Unschool. And inside of this course, we're going to learn about strategies. We're going to learn how to create quantum leaps and breakthroughs for your clients or yourself, if you would like to take this as a pregnant person or even non-pregnant person. And we're learning about hypnosis and the different levels of trance and how we go into a state of trance. We're learning, emotions, the anatomy of emotions, how emotions are a response, not a stimuli, right? And how we can change how we connect to emotions and even experiences, how we can evolve painful and traumatic experiences. And so we're going to be chatting all about this. Like, it is 11 jam-packed modules, and I am fighting myself to not keep making content. So currently there is an early bird offer that is out, and there is $775 discount for being an early bird because the official cart is not open. But the early bird closes on the 23rd of December. And so for Christmas, I wanted to give an early bird discount for you. Now, I will pop a comment in the live once it's uploaded, but you can head to laceybarrett.com.au And you can find out all about Doula Unschool there. So thank you so much. I hope this was helpful. And if you have any comments, feel free to pop them below in the comment section, and I will hop back in and answer them for you. Bye.